Hello, and welcome to Insightful Conversations with your host, Three Principles practitioner, Adey-Jones. Join her each week as she welcomes some of the world's leading Three Principles teachers and practitioners who share how this understanding has dramatically improved the quality of their lives and the lives of those they work with.
I'm thrilled to have Carolina Gallardo Barker and Wayne Yates with me today. Wayne is a Three Principles facilitator and mentor who was born with cerebral palsy. When Wayne came across the understanding of the principles, his life changed forever. Knowing that he is not his disability has helped him find everything he always looked for in life. Carolina is originally from Argentina. She is a Three Principles facilitator, clarity coach, and mentor. Prior to coming across the principles, Carolina suffered with depression, panic attacks, and insomnia her whole life. This understanding not only changed her life forever, but it also prepared her to face very difficult circumstances. Together, they host their Facebook and YouTube series, How to Connect with Humans. Thank you so much, both of you, for joining me today. It's really a pleasure to have you. Before we get into, your beautiful series, How to Connect with Humans, I'd love to hear a little bit about how you came across the principles and how it impacted your life, because I know you both struggled before you came across the principles. So I'd love to hear a little bit about that.
Hi, Del. It's such a pleasure to be here. We absolutely love your series as well. So, would you say
Yeah. I came across the principles just under 8 years ago, and the first time I actually knew about the principles was from Carolina. I had just gone through a divorce, or had just split up at the time, and Carolina walked through the door of where I was living, and we didn't know each other, but my auntie kind of introduced us. And the next thing I knew, she was moving furniture out of the way to sit next to me, just to talk to me. And as you can imagine, just having split up, I was kind of all over the place, didn't know what was going on. And the next day, I couldn't even tell you what we were talking about, but the next day I just felt such a calmness. And to this day, I still don't know what we spoke about. And then we just kind of progressed from there. And then I did courses with Ian Watson, and I did some sessions with Janet Riney. And now I'm working for 3P UK, organising the 3P UK conference with Julian Fraser.
Wonderful.
And their team. So that's where I'm at the moment.
Wonderful.
So, I came across the principles probably about 8 years ago, completely by chance. I was going to sign up to be a homeopath, and so I was studying stuff from Ian Watson, who is a fantastic homeopath, or used to be here in the UK, and he was going to do this workshop on a weekend, and I signed up blindly without reading the description of the course, and actually he had moved on to actually work fully on teaching the principles. And when I came to that weekend, I was like, oh my God, this guy is such a clever guy. And now he's talking all this gibberish. It's like, makes no sense. It's completely idiotic. Like, it's like, good idea, but this can't work in real life. And it was a 2-day workshop. And by the second day, I was with a friend, was saying like, she was like, oh my God, this is the Holy Grail. This just explains everything in life. And I wasn't saying it. I was just, no. And as many of us are, I had a life of many things. Like, in my case, I had nocturnal terrors, I had panic attacks, I had a great deal of anxiety. And I have been looking and looking and looking for something to help me out, to fix myself, to better my life.
Hey there. It looks like you've got your ad blocker on.
And I don't know what that is.
I have no Okay, well, that's very interesting.
I had my ad blocker at that point. Okay, at that point, I had something blocking my seeing of this understanding, let's say, and so my pop-up block came up, and I couldn't see that this was a great thing. And then after a few days, it just like things started changing without me doing anything.
Yeah.
Like my level of anxiety just was going down, and things were better. And which is like, oh my gosh, maybe it's a bit of like, I got curious, you know, like I got really curious. So I did a practitioner's course then with Ian. It made no sense to do anything else after that. Then after a while, Wayne did it as well. Then I went to do a course with Jamie Smart. I did the Clarity course and then the Clarity Mentor, and I became a mentor. And then we had Chip and Jan Chipmans as our mentors, who are, you know, originals, as we may call them, like directly from Sydney Banks after he had his epiphany, or he uncovered the three principles. So yes, completely changed our lives. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. I loved it. I'm just nosy. I just love to know how people came across the principles. No, actually, I love stories of transformation. I love how people saw something that was so incredible and impacted their life in such a way that there really is like this sort of before and after of how we approach life. But oh my God, I have to say, I thought that was the most beautiful metaphor of the ad blocker. I mean, that was just, it's so true. It's like there is this sort of, you know, this little sort of, you know, thing within us in the beginning where we can say, yeah, this is just too simple. This is just too easy. There has to be a but, you know, we call them the yeah buts. So, oh, that was just too funny. But I love hearing how you came across it. And I also have to say, I adore Jan and Chip Chipman. They are just such beautiful people. So you chose wisely for your mentors. So what were some of the first insights you saw? What would you say was I have a couple that are like, oh my God, indisputable. And then there were the ones where I was like, I'm not so sure. But what was the first insight that was really, really life-changing for you?
Oh, choosing one. I'm not sure how it's like the one with the big fireworks and, you know, but there were things I couldn't explain. That I really couldn't explain. Like my relationship started getting either better, or they were obvious. Like I was married when I came to the principles, and then it was absolutely obvious that we weren't happy with my ex-husband, and it was very difficult. But I have the most amicable separation and divorce. Dealing with my dad's cancer he had cancer for a long time, nearly 10 years. It was an increasing different experience. Also, he had a very strong character. So the first ones, I don't know, that's why I couldn't really point to. It was an increasing of my bats were more going out of the window. So it's like it works with this, but not with but, right? Still does. There's some, you know, some people and situations that are like, is this bad? But you know, but things I couldn't expect just started to change and be different. And what I didn't know is that it came to prepare me for things that I never knew. Obviously, it was the hardest time of my life. I separated, then I knew my dad had terminal cancer, then it was all at the same time. Mm-hmm. When I met Wayne, Wayne has cerebral palsy, so he's got problems with his mobility. Mm-hmm. But I didn't see that. The first minute I saw him, I just saw who he was. Like I didn't have any, I just fell in love with who he was without knowing where it was going to take us, really. Mm-hmm. So that was a clear sort of different way of relating to somebody. And just 2 years ago, my dad committed suicide, and that was, I would have to say, though, that even though probably the level of feeling now is got bigger, mm-hmm. Okay? Like now I can feel more on everything. I can feel more because I'm not afraid of my experience. Mm-hmm. So it was incredibly painful, but I knew I was okay. I knew I wasn't going to be a victim of my circumstances. And thank God I had this understanding, because also as soon as I couldn't see, as soon as the blocker came in to say that, right? I had Wayne and I had other people that said, would you like to have a chat? I'm here for you. And, and I can't thank enough the amount of help. And there's also where Chip and Jan came in to hold us and to hold a hand. So for me, sorry, it's a long explanation, but it wasn't like the one mm-hmm. that changed everything. It was like only not that beginning. It was so that I was supported all along.
Mm. No, I love that. No, that was not too long at all. I was following every second of that. That was just beautiful. And yeah, it's true. Mine didn't come as these big sort of explosions of, oh my God, I see the light. It was a gentle sort of, it's just on reflection. I go, oh my God, I see these, particularly in a couple of areas where it was absolutely life-changing, that I saw something so differently. So that was beautiful. And yes, we are incredibly lucky that we have this gorgeous supportive community that can be there for us when we go through these challenging times. Because, even though we experience life via our thinking, life does go on. And there are circumstances that can be particularly challenging. As Sid would say, it's a contact sport. So, there are things that we go through while we're here on this physical plane that can be challenging. So thank you for that. Thank you for sharing that. And Wayne, I would ask the same question of you.
I think for me, mine was kind of more of kind of like a firework that just mm-hmm. kind of went off. And for me, it was during a session with Janet Riney. And she asked me one day, if you weren't Wayne, who would you be? And for me, I'd had other insights before, but this one completely just rocked me. And as Carolina said earlier, I've got cerebral palsy. And what it kind of looked at to me was, I can be anyone I want to be. I'm not bound by Wayne Yates, who's got a disability, who's this, who's that. I can put any hat on I like on any particular day. Mm. And for me, it just rocked me. And I ended the session with Janet, and I was just kind of a wobbling mess for the last week. And she asked me on the next session, she was like, how did you feel like during the last week? I said, absolutely terrified, didn't like it. And we discussed it. And then that's when she said, you know what, it's just a label. You can be whoever you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
But during that week, I couldn't speak and I couldn't kind of put into words what I was feeling.
Yeah. I love that. That's actually very similar to the insight that I had, which mine took a while, but really was that we can. I felt like, you know how you have as a kid, you have those sort of boxes with dress up outfits in. You can be a fireman or a princess or whatever. It's like for me, I'd put on an outfit and then just forgot I could have put on any outfit, and I just lived this life in this one outfit, calling it me. Mine was a waif, mine wasn't a princess, but it was this sort of sad story of who I was and how I was born, and my sort of, should never have been born was one of my stories, and whatever it was. And to see that it's just dress up, and we can actually play with all different outfits and show up in all different ways. It's so liberating. So I love that you saw that. You saw beyond, your story of who you were. So thank you. That was beautiful. I really, really enjoyed hearing that. And I also want to ask, you have this great series that you're putting on. You're putting it on for the 5th time now. So I'd love you to talk a little bit about that, and what was the inspiration behind that? And the title, I love the title, How to Connect with Humans. So tell me about that.
Well, it was about a year ago. So the first pandemic, the first quarantine of the pandemic sort of started getting here to the UK. We are in England, and so we have the first quarantine. And on one side, it gave us time, which we had really wanted to do something. I've been like for years and years and years, kind of like, I want to do something and I want to do something. And you try one thing and it doesn't work, and it's like, no. Well, it gave us time. And so the title came to me, like that was like clear as day. I woke up one day, I was like, how to connect with humans. We're going to do something that is, I said to Wayne, we're going to do something that has to do with that title. I don't know what it is. And then we're like, oh, what about we ask Jen and Chip Chipman if they would do a talk with us live, and we could do a Zoom with other people. I don't know if they will say yes, that would be great. That was all we wanted. That's all we wanted, Del, honestly.
Yeah.
And so we asked them. We wanted to help people. I wanted to be for free. We wanted to offer something that was free, that will bring hope, and that will bring what changed our lives so hugely, to help people that were alone, that were in their houses, that were freaking out about things or struggling economically or whatever it was. And so they said, yeah, of course we'll do it. And them just like, yeah, yes. So they came in. And because of that, we look at each other and we're like, oh, was it that easy then? Was it just that we just asked? So then we asked Deacon Bettinger. And we're talking about the people that we used to see, like, For us, it was like, oh, we asked Madonna and, like, I don't know, Beyonce. It was like, and they said, yeah. So we're like, okay, so should we ask more people? And the series just started taking a life of its own.
Yeah.
It just decided that it was, and sweet enough, because this was a gift. When we asked Jamie Smart, he said, would you mind if I'm at the end of the series? And then we look at each other, we're like, we don't know when the end of the series is. We're like, we didn't even know this had an end of the series. So we said, well, okay, let's do 10 episodes, and that's all we wanted. And we'll put him at the end of the series, It was really nice fit. It gave us another thing to sort of play and ask other people. But then it became obvious that there were other people that wanted to be in the series, that it was doing well, that were having we started putting it on YouTube, and we had a group that suddenly started getting more and more members. So we thought, well, it's all made up, really. It's all made up. So if this is series 1, let's go into series 2. And a year later, here we are with you. You're going to be in our series in a couple of weeks, celebrating our first year of 5 consecutive series of doing this every week, giving people a free webinar of an hour and a half with amazing teachers and speakers. And, you know, we have the pleasure of somebody like you, Dale, saying, yes, of course they'll come, you know. So we are incredibly lucky.
That's so beautiful. It's so funny. Same thing with this. It was, you know, with this series, I say series, it's been, I think I'm at 146 shows now. So, but it was just started off, there wasn't a plan, you know, clearly wisdom was directing. I was doing another show with another woman, a co-host, and we were doing it on everything to do with health, and it was called Mind, Body, Soul. I was in charge of the spiritual and the psychological part, and then Debbie, my co-host, was around the physical fitness and nutrition. And one day it just came to me, it's like, I just want to talk to principals people. That's just what I want to do. So we separated amicably, of course, and did our different shows. But again, it was that I had no idea how long it was going to go. And I had the same nervousness too. It's like, oh my God, how can I ask these people? You know, because we do tend to, in the beginning, have them on pedestals. But as we quickly realized that they're the kindest, most generous people on earth. And all they want to do is to be of service and touch as many people as possible. So I love that you followed that little nudge from wisdom and reached out and are doing such a beautiful service for people. So I know beyond the principles, you also you have other careers, if I'm correct. So I'm curious, just, and again, the questions for both of you, how the principles, I mean, specifically, I'm thinking of Wayne as a driving instructor. Now, so many people I know get very nervous when they first get behind a wheel. So I'm just curious how the principles plays out in your interaction with your students, and how that impacts you and them in that situation.
Yeah, good question. I think when I first kind of really understood this understanding, it kind of brought me to a relaxed state of nothing really bothered me. And I can't tell you how and when that came about. I just got into the car one day and just thought, wow, I'm just so much more relaxed than what I have been before. And without really doing anything, that's just kind of transferred over to the pupils that I've got. And when they start getting nervous about their test, I just kind of pull them to one side and just ask why they're feeling nervous, and you know, kind of just tell them what I know. And the majority of the lessons, after my pupils have stopped feeling nervous, they kind of come back to me and they say, wow, that's probably one of the best lessons I've ever had.
Yeah. Oh, it's so beautiful.
And for me, I don't really do anything different. It's just, for me, how I show up.
Yeah, exactly. That's all we need to do, especially as a parent. You know, some people say, well, you share this understanding with your children, and it's like, yeah, every second of the day, it's how I show up with them, how I interact with them. That's all they need. They've seen the change in me, and that ripple effect is enough. I don't need to describe what the principles are and what it's pointing to. It's the impact we have on others. So I love that. I'm thinking back to my days of learning how to drive and thinking, gosh, I wish I'd had somebody that was calm and centered and present and loving. What a different experience that would have been for me. I think I remember like driving over a roundabout. I was so nervous. I took my driving test in the UK, so it was that sort of like shifting gears and all the directions. And I think by the time I'd sort of shifted gears, I think I just drove. It was a little one. It wasn't a big one, but but I just remember being that nervous. But anyway, so I'd ask the same question of you, Carolina. How I know that you do lots of things in the world of physical fitness and helping people, regain something they'd lost. So tell me a little bit about how that shows up in your profession.
Yeah. Well, I'm a Zumba instructor, which I absolutely love. It brings I used to be an actress in musicals. So for a long time, when I became a wife and a mother, as you know, when I put that costume on, as you know well, I sort of got away from that, and at some point I found Zumba, and I guess by now I don't have to explain what it is. Before it was like people were like, "What?" So fitness and mostly Latin American dancing with also other rhythms for me was perfect. I was very overweight teaching Spanish at that point. And when I thought, oh, okay, if I do this that I actually love and they pay me, I will turn up and do it, And it looks like fun. It's like going to a party where I'm paid to do that. Oh, yeah, I can do that. So it worked amazingly for me. I lost a lot of weight and I got better. It's like, this sounds like a promotion for Zumba classes. Sign up now. Okay. And it got me also slowly, as I got to learn the principles, I started getting curious about other things that I would have never done before. Fitness for me wasn't the downside of things. Fitness was boot camp, people shouting at you. That wasn't my thing. But I got curious. Things in life got me curious, and so I started doing other trainings, and I trained as a masseuse and a therapist, and more I got also interested in rehabilitation. Because I started seeing people whole. And what was happening was that people would come for a massage saying, well, I'm going to have operation on this shoulder. So, and that they weren't having surgery. And I started thinking, well, there's a way I'm starting to like hear what people feel. They were like, how do you know? Or they will say, it's the shoulder, I will go to foot. And I had no explanation for that, you see. I would just be there and listen in the same way that I listen when I am facilitating for somebody about the principles without talking about the principles at all. It's just like being with that person, knowing they're fine, and what is the heart block that just come in that body or in that situation, or that for whatever reason they have lost hope and they have lost sight that they're absolutely fine and they can regain much more than they think. They've been given also titles. So what happens is that I started getting more and more people in my Zumba classes, like than the other Zumba instructors in a way. And I was like, no, it's your personality. It's because you make it so fun. And I thought, okay, I can be, okay, maybe I'm good, really good. But I listened. I wouldn't leave that class. I wouldn't leave any Zumba class today without making eye contact, connecting, having a chat before, after with the people in my class, and having that human connection, that how to connect with humans, situation, on like really seeing them. And So that's how what we do as anybody else started getting people curious or attracted in, oh, I want to be in that feeling. And I would always spend another, you too, like another whatever time if people want to talk and if people want to, because we are not saying like, oh, read this book, or but when people go like, there's something different about you, or there's something, well, there's this little thing that you could watch or read, or or we can have a chat.
That's beautiful, and you do have, both of you, incredible energies. So I can see why people would want to come and be with you. And I love what you're pointing to. It really is. So many of us are not present, and what I'm hearing you talking about is just being really present, really right here, right now, with whoever's in front of you, and connecting at that level, and not lost in thought. And we can be so innocently disconnected when we're lost in our own thinking. So that's really beautiful. So I know that you hold groups together. So just or anything that's coming up that how people can work with you. I'd love you to share that.
Yes. Well, people can contact us. We do. So everything at the moment's been happening virtually, as see. So we do workshops for groups, and we work with people one-to-one. And our website is backtobeingyou.co.uk. And our idea was that exactly what we've been talking about here. That in the same way that you realize that that Wayne realized he wasn't his disability, or I realized so many things that that's what I want to share with people, so they can find this was because how many people sometimes say, I wish I could be back to being myself. Like, and what we felt is that when they say that, is that they had a feeling they have been, when they tap into what is never gone anywhere, right? They don't need to do really a course to be back to their well-being. Their well-being is there with them. It's just like, get that ad block out of there. It's there, right? So this ad block is gonna follow us now for a long time.
I love it. It was just so perfect. The timing was perfect.
So yes, so we haven't at the moment. We're starting our own school, the Back to Being You training school, also to train facilitators. So it's all in motion. People can contact us if they're curious, and we absolutely will let you know as soon as we have anything that is coming up. Yep. Sounds good.
So do you have any last words you want to share with anybody that's listening?
We have run out of words. Oh my god. That would be a miracle. I'll say firstly, thank you so much, Dale, because 140 something episodes. It's you. We know what it is like. It's like, it's you. It's your wonderful presence. It's like you giving from your heart. It's you putting money out of your pocket just to produce these calls, which are fantastic. I mean, I've seen so many people I haven't had the pleasure of being able to hear before through your series. So please keep doing whatever you want to do. It's really beautiful. It's really lovely. And I will say, for people that usually ask us, and I guess it's I don't know what it is for you, but when they say, how did you do that first step? How did you do something about this? I want to share this. And I will say, just do a little thing. you can record a 1-minute video. You can just talk to the guy serving you at the shop, and as you say, be present. Just say hello, how's your day? From your heart. Like, that's enough.
Yes.
So for me, that's like, Del, thank you, because you've been also, leading the way, and we are very grateful for that. Yeah.
It's so sweet of you to say thank you so much. But you know what I love, what you touched on, is often what I think that one of the most, I know it sounds silly, but one of the most important jobs somebody can do is being a grocery checkout person. I mean, when you think of the hundreds of people that pass through that line, and if you are just loving and present in that moment, how you then step out into the world and that ripple effect of how you show up with other people. And sometimes we think it has to be something really big or grand, and it really isn't. It's as simple as just being in your loving and sharing that with somebody else. So I love that you ended on that note. And thank you so much. I'm excited to be a part of your Series 5. And thank you for doing everything you do. You're right. I do know the work that goes into it. So same to you. Thank you for everything you're doing and sharing your beautiful energy with the world. You're a beautiful couple. And thank you so much for being with me here today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
So we're really looking forward to having you. And thank you to you and your team for having us.
Wonderful. Well, enjoy the rest of your evening. I know my day's just starting here, but enjoy your evening and we'll speak soon.
You too.
You
Take care.
too.
You too. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for listening to the show. If you're interested in learning more about my coaching and mentoring packages, please reach out to me at Adey-Jones@gmail.com. I would love to hear from you.